I come today to the third of our church values. There are 5 in all, so this is the middle one, and it is the value of humility. Perhaps it's the most difficult of all to talk about. To talk about humility. Who's up for that? All 5 of these virtues from Colossians 3 verse 12 are manifestations of love. Verse 14, just 2 verses on, describes love as the crowning virtue, and that's followed by peace. So love and peace are also linked to these. You know, humility was not considered a virtue in the ancient world. In the Roman world and the Greek world, humility was considered anathema, really. But it's one of the noblest of human graces, and it's related to the next virtue in the list of Colossians 3:12, which is about being gentle. I'll speak about that next week. You know, Jesus spoke of himself as being humble. If you think of a Matthew 11:28, where Jesus talked about taking his yoke, and he said there that he is humble of heart, using exactly the same Greek word that we have here in Colossians. The people who speak of their humility, of how humble they are, is just in conversational people you know that talk about their humility almost never are, in my experience. Humility is not a case of putting oneself down, or there's some kind of poor self-esteem, or groveling in the ground, or being a worm. That none of those things are humility at all. Humble people, in my experience, are not worried about their status. They don't worry about how people see them, but they're people who serve and who give and who love generously without any form of judgment. Those are the humble people. Andrew Murray, I've got some of his books, including a little one on humility. He said this, that when we are aware of how truly God is all, and when we make room for God to be all in us, then we become truly humble. I like that. Christ humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross, and therefore God exalted him to the highest place. You know, the incarnation of our Lord Jesus was true humility. So is his servanthood. The King of the universe come down to serve and become one of us, to be a human person. His ministry was one of humility, and so too was his death on a cross. Christ certainly is our example, and we should follow him.